Welcome, folks.
Yeah.
This is our Thursday Zoom on the 4th of September 2025. And our topic is, what are Bill Gates' real plans for Africa? And what are the African governments doing to protect their population? First of all, I want to say what Bill Gates and Bill and Melinda Foundation, what are their activities in Africa? Firstly, they have agricultural development, which is mainly GMOs, genetically modified organisms. And secondly, they have family planning, reproduction to curtail an already low population. It's invasive and dangerous. Contraceptive that limit the birth for 8 years, limit birth for 8 years, and may have dangerous side effects, even leads to infertility. Next, they have financially bribery to small. They financially bribe small holders, small farm holders, struggling farmers, to the tune of $14 million in conjunction with the UNDP, United Nations Development Program. Fourthly, they are concerned about the health. Disease prevention and control is what they call it. But not with Africans' own doctors or traditional medicines who actually have all the cures for our common diseases of Africa, but are dying out due to the puppet Western politicians' reliance on Western medicine, which does not really help Africa, does not really help African diseases. This is his wife, Melinda French Gates. Fifthly, there's a lot of bribery and corruption and Swiss bank accounts for government politicians and political leaders in Africa who do not have the population's interest at heart, but are a greedy, selfish lot. They themselves do not use the health clinics that they set up and go to Europeans and United States of America medical assistance and send their children to schools in Europe and with their ill-gotten funds. Another part I want to discuss is the specific countries that Bill and Melinda Gates have targeted in East Africa. Kenya, Tanzania, now Magufuli has been safely murdered. Uganda, Rwanda, and Ethiopia. In West Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, Mali, Niger, and Senegal. In Southern Africa, Malawi, Mozambique, and Zambia. What are the criticisms that the African scientists have levied against Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation? What the GMO things that the GMO plants that they are forcing on African farmers undermines sustainable food system. The plant cannot reproduce, and the farmers end up entirely dependent on Western companies for seeds. The food system is at the entire mercy of the Western foreigners. He who controls your food controls you. Farmers are locked into an unnecessary debt cycle and forced out of business as large foreign companies take over Africa's food supply. Thirdly, Bill and Melinda Gates promises have not materialized. Promises of a green revolution have failed to accomplish its goals. and improve food security and reduce poverty. Instead, it has increased food dependency on the West and increased poverty and debt for small farmers. The Target Malaria Project has raised concerns about ecological risks, ethical issues, and lack of transparency. Fifthly, the influence over African governments and policies, perpetuating neocolonialism and prioritizing Western corporations' interest over local needs. Sixthly, the lack of accountability. Some Africans, faith healers, have called for repatriations from the Gates Foundation, citing negative impact on agricultural development strategies for small-scale farmers and local communities. Civic society groups like Alliance for Food Sovereignty for Africa and African Center have been vocal people against the vocal critics. What is the background of Bill Gates and his desire to population control Africa, which does have a low population problem as of now, and we don't need any population control? Well, the truth is this. Bill Gates' father, William Gates Sr., served as the board of the Planned Parenthood of United States of America under Margaret Sanger, who advocated birth control and eugenics on African Americans and poor white Americans, to weed out the undesirable of society, in her own words. Eugenics emerged in the late 19th century and early 20th century, influenced by Darwin's idea of survival of the fittest. They believe that traits such as intelligence, morality, physical ability are all inherited, and so there are groups that are more superior than others, and we all know that means white superiority. These superior groups should be encouraged to produce and grow, whilst the lesser groups should be exterminated by birth control and sterilization, immigration control and segregation. And this was what was happening in the late 19th century and early 20th century in America. This is Bill Gates' background, Bill and Melinda Gates, and this is the background of their activities in Africa. So what else have they done to further this idea of white superiority and to ruin the population of Black people? The COVID-19 and the corona world experiment, some effects of the COVID vaccination that was forced in all over the world, and which Africa had the lowest amount of corona cases, but was forced on some African governments. This vaccine causes heart inflammation, blood clotting disorder, Guillain-Barré syndrome, and neurological disorder affecting the brain, cerebral venous thrombosis, a blood clot in the vein leading to brain damage, encephalomyelitis, inflammation and swelling of the brain and spinal cord, transverse myelitis, inflammation of the spinal cord. Pardon my pronunciations. Also, the long-term illness of this is exercise, intolerance, excessive fatigue, numbness, brain fog, nerve damage, anxiety, depression, and feeling of helplessness and hopelessness that leads to suicide. This is what Bill and Melinda Gates planned for Africans. In fact, during the corona epidemic, when they were actively putting their vaccines in Africa, Melinda Gates is said to have said at an interview with CNN in April 2020, lack of testing in Africa will lead to dead bodies out in the street, warning of a devastating impact of COVID-19 for Africa, which never happened due to the puppet politicians not responding to their masters in this regard. In fact, there was a traditional African medicine that stopped the virus in its tracks, which WHO, World Health Organization, Bill Gates, and the Europeans tried to stop from happening, insisting that the vaccine they had manufactured in Europe and America, transported to China for distribution, was what should be used. They refused to look at the science behind it. They refused all pleas to see alternatives to the coronavirus, and millions of people died as a result. Well, have any African countries resisted this man at all? It is said that Namibia, Burkina Faso, and Mali have resisted. These are a few that have resisted the pressure from Bill and Melinda Gates. However, African politicians are afraid, as when John Pombe Magufuli of Tanzania resisted them openly, he was murdered. Namibia has issued a statement denying the fact that they are not willing to work with Bill and Melinda Gates. This is out of fear. I believe out of the pressure and the monetary benefits that have been given to them. Kenya is facing a court challenge regarding the puppet government's decision to work with Bill and Melinda Gates, and grants the Bill and Melinda Gates immunity from prosecution. Kenya is fighting this, but only time will tell if they succeed. May John Magufuli rest in peace. Now that Magufuli has safely been murdered, Tanzania is quietly accepting the evil on their population. Africa is well capable of looking after its health. Africa is well able of looking after its health and its own people and controlling its food production. Libya, before the USA crushed her, was had a wonderful national health sector equal to that of Europe and superior to that of USA system. Burkina Faso is striving to control its own health and own system. President Ibrahim Traore himself has put his hands himself in the hands of doctors, his own doctors, and has faith in his health service. The whole reason behind Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is to keep control of Africa's wealth. for Europeans and European Americans' benefit. And to this end, they have together with the UN agencies, WHO, World Health Organizations, and all the EU nations, NATO, USA, Canada governments, they all strive for this with one accord. But all is not lost. Africans are fighting back for control of their own land and its wealth. Africa Hopes in Christ is our ethos is the wealth of Africa to benefit the African race. Unfortunately, Africa is riddled with traitors, but we will survive and rule and control ourselves one day. This is the end of my presentation. Yes, I was just talking roughly about the Bill and Melinda Gates and their plans for Africa, which is mainly health and agriculture. You're an agriculturist. Do you have anything to say about that? And GMO plants.
Yes. What I want to throw light here is the role of Africa presidents in protecting their population against this Bill Gates healthcare and other aids that is doing in Africa, because I just learned that from now to 2045 he's actually planning to invest a whopping sum amount of 2 billion. And you know, these are some of the things our leaders here in Africa wants to hear. But even though we have few of these Africans who are now saying yes, who are saying no to the West, we don't want this. The likes of you mentioned this guy in Burkina Faso who is actually trying greatly, but I think also African as a whole, we have a lot to do, and most of these things that we have to do is for us to avoid this Bill Gates funding. One of the things we have to do is governance of innovation.
Can you explain that?
Yes, governance and innovation. You know, one of the key things you see, most of our leaders here are just opening their hands to the West. Let me say Bill Gates to be more precise, is because they are not innovative. Our governance system are far away from innovation. So you see, sometimes our government needs for train using African data. We must able to design, govern, and train using African data. I was watching this man, Professor Lumumba. Could you imagine? We as an African, you will hear that South Africa, when it comes to election, their ballot paper are being printed where? In UK. Sierra Leone are being printed in the UK. Why? Because we don't trust our institution. Then also,
yes, and we have the timber and we can make paper.
We have something like that again. For African leaders to say no to the West or this Bill Gates funding, what they have to do, they have to build an institution, ethical oversight and health research. This I think you have in your presentation, you throw light more on the Bill Gates area. For my own side, I'm just trying to issue out things that we have to do that will enable us to say no to the West. These are, or let me say, neither the West or Bill Gates. I'm just taking them, in one particular unit. We have to build institution, ethical oversight, and health research Sierra Leone, most of our research institutions are poor. Like you, I'm in the agricultural sector. When they heard about SLAI, Sierra Leone Agricultural Institute Research, what these guys are doing, they will go and take and put policies together over 1,000 pages. When it comes to implementing those policies, they lack the innovation. If we start doing that, building institution that we trust me, we will start saying no to most of this Bill Gates. Look at some of the healthcare issue that Bill Gates is doing. This HIV stuff, this and that. Could you imagine these things? All these testing kits are being made by the West. Well, most of this heavy, most of this bad disease, all the testing kits are being made by the West, sent to Africa. So you see, so also the other thing we have to do for us to say no to the West or say no to this Bill Gates stuff is what? Civil society critics, self-guided autonomy. When you look within the African community or African countries, even civil society groups now want to become part of what? Politics. They are now being part of the what? The political parties, political units, political groups. They should be there criticizing most of the wrong things that have been happening. And most of these civil society are what? Most of this money you see this guy sending, Bill Gates sending, most of this money are being sent to those civil society groups for them to support his initiative. That is why you see when they bring forward some particular initiative, you will see these civil society groups. They will be there, hey. But the moment the moment they pour the dollar, you hear them. You hear no single sound again. So we have our civil society, our governance system has to create a platform where they can able to trust the civil society groups. Then,
okay,
let me just say one more and stop here. Maybe other people want to say.
Yes, Alusine.
Political voices from Gates Pledge to Africa ownership. This is also a key fundamental principles that if actually our leaders want to protect us from this Bill Gates and Melinda Foundation trust, they are spending billions of dollars, millions of dollars. This also have to be looked into. So you see, this particular area have to look to political voices. When you come to, let me say, my country, when you see what has come now, yes, I'm now in my late 20s. What I have understand is, I can quote directly from the first lady when she said the last, I think she was on the BBC, when she said, here we choose our leader. In fact, we don't choose we choose our leaders, but indirectly the West choose for us. And once they choose for you, you have to dance to their tune. For now, there was a safe abortion bill that was passed. There was also this female genital mutilation. We are in lots of the opposition. They were bashing at it. But just because there was some amount of money in, we never heard about that one again. We never heard about that again. And once there is a particular thing, if this funding wants to come in, and let me say the central government, the government of the day want to say no to it, what will happen? They will invest some amount of money to the opposition, so the opposition will continue hitting the ruling government for them to accept.
Okay.
So we have so many fundamental principles that our government need to do to protect the lives of their citizens in Africa. But I will stop here for now. I mean, I will send you a copy of my research about that. I'll send a copy to you.
Okay, thank you very much. I would like that. Roland, do you have anything to say to what Alusain has said?
Yes, thank you very much. What Alusain is saying there makes a lot of sense. But the problem here is we lack the honesty on the part of our leaders to challenge what Bill and Melinda are doing. It is public knowledge that Bill Gates wanted to decimate the African population. And by so doing, they will have free access to our minerals.
Yes, to Africa wealth.
They will have free access to our land. And that means we'll be nowhere. Let us look at Namibia. Namibia or Southwest Africa, when they wanted to decimate the black population, they would come up with scam elections. The liquid that was used to identify the person who has voted made the people sterile. And those were sham elections. Their aim was to sterilize the Namibian population so that they will have more whites in Southwest Africa.
Okay.
It's happening everywhere. And in this case, if Bill and Melinda are going into healthcare, that means they will be polluting the African population. At the end of the day, they will decimate us. And when we talk about the other aspects, they want to bring GMO, genetically modified organisms. Who knows about them? Now, what is happening to our scientists? I only hope that Sierra Leone or Africa will use their scientists, their medical people, to test all these drugs that are coming in, to test the reagents and be honest to us and not succumb to bribery. If they can do that, then we'll be able to combat these people. So the whole thing is we have to start within ourselves. But who is going to lead the sensitization?
Exactly. Who is going to sacrifice to lead?
Discussions like this should involve a lot of those guys so they will see the light. Some of them have not seen the light. You know, they are only concerned about themselves.
Some of these guys, they only depend on this data that are being released by United Nations. Most of the data we use in Sierra Leone are data that are not well researched. They only use on this when a United Nations say X, Y, Z, this and that. Where is what's our research institution are doing? What are they doing? They are all on our political parties with the help of the West.
Okay. Thank you very much. Jim, can you say anything to contribute?
Yes, I can. I tried to do a little bit of homework before logging on to Zoom this afternoon about Bill Gates' plans for Africa, and I checked a couple of sources. They were like CNBC and Axios, and they seem to be pretty positive about the whole thing, but
they're all part of it.
That he's even doing this, wanting to take his entire fortune over the next 20 years and give it to African countries. But after I logged on to the Zoom meeting, I'm wondering if he's got better things to do with that money. And I'm thinking about the 10 countries in Africa that are taking care of their own health, and as long as all 54 countries in the continent can do that, that'd be great.
Yes, that's fine. Yeah. But we have a lot of enemies and a lot of greed, and they have for centuries been looting us, and they're not going to give up easily.
Yes.
Yes, of course. Thank you very much, Jim.
Well,
is that you. Alfred on iPhone?
Yes.
Alfred, is that you?
Yes, ma'am.
Alfred is a young lawyer, up-and-coming lawyer. And what are your opinions about the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and their plans for Africa?
Well, I joined the meeting late, so I'm just learning. So I can't contribute now. I'm just learning from all your presentations that you are making.
Okay, that's fine. certain people have gone. I would have loved that Ugandan gentleman who joined us to say his point of view about Uganda, but he's left. And I think we've all that are here have said something. Sia is having problems with her internet; she can't join, and she's been trying, but she just can't.
As I also, what I want to add again is this: Africans, sometimes you see these people like the Bill Gates, who is one of the most renowned wealthy man in the world. These people have succeeded using the mindset of Africa into the mindset of our leaders with this big note the print. There is a conference going on in Dakar. We are in this African food system. What they do, imagine something that has to do with Africa food system. I follow one of my fellow who is attending at the moment, Ken. He's from Uganda. What they do is, imagine something that has to do with Africa. They went on to print flags, flags of countries, flags of nations that are not even in the African continent. What are they doing there? When the moment I noticed that, I said, oh, if you check those that pay the bills of a particular conference must be the West. Because imagine you said something, this particular conference is for Africans. Then you start you start bashing out flags from the UK, America, Israel, Germany. What are they doing there? Are they African nations? Here also comes the problem of our leaders. They don't want to support institutions. They don't want to establish institutions, agencies, organizations that will help to foster the interest of the layman. So that's just what I want to say.
Well done. Thank you. Thank you, Alusain. I think everybody has said their point of view, and I will just end with the fact that I believe what Africa Hopes in Christ can do is to foster a new generation of politicians and fund them, and hope that the young, when their time comes, they will be able to resist these people, and it won't be too late.
Exactly. By God's grace. By God's grace.
Yeah. That's a very good wish, and I pray that it happens.
Yes.
And now, trust me, we 10 years from now, we will start achieving those things, because I'm seeing now lots of youths passionate, starting things that way back some 10, 15 years ago, you cannot afford to see a youth doing it. Now in Africa, I'm seeing lots of my colleagues' youths starting innovation businesses, starting things that you can say, oh, are you the one with it? Surprising. I'm seeing that in the next 10 years, we have let me say, up to 30% of the African youth population will be like that.
The future is in Africa, and we will fight for our land to the best of our ability.
For sure.
And we thank God that He has opened our eyes, and He has opened the eyes of the youth, that the next generation will not be accepting these bribes and corruption that the older generation did. And we will have new Kwame Nkrumahs, new Patrice Lumbumba's, new Muhammad Gaddafi's, and we thank God for Ibrahim Traore and Mali and Niger leaders who are leading the way and giving us a hope. So our title is Africa Hopes in Christ. And although not all Africans are Christians, we will work together. We will not accept divide and rule anymore.
Thank you.
So that's the end of our meeting. Michael tries coming towards the end. We finished now. He's having problem joining anyway.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for coming.